We use memory not only to create a sense of self, but also to survive. Our memories help to remind us of the experiences that make us who we are today. For example, the memories of your parents or guardians raising you and teaching you the basics of good and bad help to form your moral compass. We use memory to recall important information, such as the location of emergency exits on a plane. Memory, in theory of knowledge, is a way of knowing. The ways of knowing are how we acquire knowledge about the world around us and figure out our relationship with it. However, there are some differences between other ways of knowing and memory. For one, memory is not a primary way of knowing. Instead, we use other ways of knowing to provide us with our initial knowledge, and only afterwards do we employ memory to modify and enhance that knowledge. Secondly, memory, as we know, is notoriously unreliable, as theorized and supported by many psychological studies which will be discussed later. How one person remembers something will be radically different to how another person recalls it, meaning that it should be treated with care when thinking about how memory is a valid source of knowledge. Because we use memory to assist in such vital aspects of life, we would like to believe that memory is reliable to a certain extent. Before we discuss the reliability of memory, we should know how memory actually works. There are many different models that describe memory. One that we will talk about is the multi-store memory model, that was theorized by Atkinson and Shiffrin in 1968. This model is based on the assumption that memory is split into different stores, and that the storing of memory into each store is sequential. In other words, memory goes from sensory memory to short-term memory, then into long-term memory. So the information we get from our sensory perception, which is another fundamental way of knowing, is first stored in our sensory memory, which lasts about 1 to 4 seconds. Depending on the modality of the sense, a select amount of information from that sense will be turned into short-term memory. And information from the short-term memory is only transferred to long-term memory if that information is rehearsed, otherwise it is lost. For example, singing a song over and over and over again will store the lyrics of that song into your long-term memory. Glanzer and Kunitz conducted an experiment to support the multi-store memory model in 1966, where participants were told a list of items and immediately afterwards were told to recreate the list. By demonstrating people exercising their memory in this experiment, they've supported the idea of multiple stores in memory. However, the results showed that many participants weren't able to remember some items on the list, which also demonstrates how memory isn't always 100% accurate. Now, reconstructive memory is a theory that was created by Bartlett in 1932. The theory suggests that when we recover stored information from our memory, it isn't simply taken out again, but it's reconstructed, like a building. And it's built on the basis of information we already know. And so the problem is that this information that we're using as a foundation to recover memory can mislead us, using information that might be generalized or biased. This is also similar to false memories, which are fabricated or distorted recollections of events that did not actually happen. To give you a realistic example, there was once a case about a woman named Jennifer Thompson who was assaulted by a man which she didn't know the identity of. When it came to choosing the criminal, she recognized Ronald Cotton's face, of who she thought was the one who assaulted her, and sent him to jail. However, when she was presented with the real criminal, Bobby Poole, who also looked similar to Ronald Cotton, Jennifer was so confident with her first choice that she didn't recognize him at all. This whole case demonstrates how memory can be distorted by emotion, a way of knowing. As her confidence was what made her so sure about her choice, to the extent that she overwrote her memory in order to ensure that it was Ronald Cotton who assaulted her. However, there are some theories that suggest how different kinds of memories can be more accurate than others. Flashbulb memory is a type of episodic memory, a memory about a certain event or personal experience which is resistant to being forgotten. The word flashbulb is used because it gives us an idea that memory is recorded like a photograph. Now, seeing as flashbulb memories are resistant to being forgotten, that should mean our memory is reliable, right? But how can we trust our memory? Well, as you can see what we've shown you in this video, we can't trust it 100%. That being said, we still can't disregard memory as a way of knowing, as it is the foundation of how we keep our knowledge.